Hello and welcome to Hysteria. I'm Erin Ryan.
And I'm Alyssa Mastromonaco.
Alyssa, what are you going to do on Sunday nights now that Succession is over?
Erin, I have been thinking about this since Sunday night at 10:35 p.m. East Coast time when the show was over. I think I'm just going to go back to going to bed at my normal time, which is 9 o'clock on a Sunday. I don't think I should try to fill the void. I think that I should just cut my losses and go to bed.
It's sort of like when you end a relationship and the ending is kind of like painful. You shouldn't try to immediately get out there and date.
No. And also, I'm not going to stay up past my bedtime for Che Diaz. When Sex and the City comes back on / just like that, I will just watch that on Mondays as is appropriate.
Okay. Well, my Sunday nights are going to be devoted to outlining a new show that is about Tom surrounding himself with Carolina and Jerry as his two right-hand ladies. And it'll sort of be like girl boss Succession.
Yes. Tom needs flotation devices more than anybody else who's been on that show.
Right, because Shiv was never going to be the girl boss of Succession. She never could have been.
No.
She is the Betty Draper. Now we're mixing in a whole bunch of other. She's now the Betty Draper.
We're coming up with our own new show.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so Alyssa, you know that I'm a big proponent of paying attention to what's going on in states, as are you, because that's where the action is. I think one of the states where things happen under the radar a lot of times, despite the fact that they directly impact millions and millions of people, Texas. There is no major media center in Texas, although there's some media that operates out of Dallas. Generally, it's not New York or LA. And so a lot of times what's happening in Texas state level politics is something that people who are national audiences tuning into, CNN aren't necessarily getting news about. And so over Memorial Day weekend, there was huge news out of Texas that was months in the making. And I am kind of regretting the fact that the national media was not following this the whole time because it's fucking awesome.
But you know who has been following it? We have.
We have because we fucking hate everyone involved.
This is a fuck this guy of epic proportions.
This is like a dog pile of fuck this guy subjects, right? And they're all fighting and it's glorious. It is glorious. Okay, over Memorial Day weekend, the Texas House, which is run and been dominated by Republicans, overwhelmingly voted to impeach Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, who is so corrupt. The guy was indicted for securities fraud at one point and still won re-election because that's the chokehold that the Republican Party has in the state of Texas. Attorney General Ken Paxton is a sort of person that look, I don't want to be mean, but he's a dick. You look at him and you're like, I don't trust a word that comes out of this person's mouth. He looks like a lawyer from the back of a bus.
He does. And Erin, when you think, if you're like the average American and you're like, politicians are corrupt, and you ask, well, what crimes do you think they do? He literally ticked every single box you could come up with.
He's done all the crimes.
He's done all the crimes.
He's suspended from his office pending the actual trial, and he's going to be put on trial in front of the Texas Senate for bribery, abuse of office, and obstruction of justice. Those things sound kind of like white-collary, but when you read into the things that he was obstructing and abusing and why he was bribing people and for what, it's really juicy. It includes a mistress. Of course there's a mistress, right?
Yes,
and this is the first time an impeachment like this has happened in Texas since 1975.
And it's bipartisan. Everyone's tossing this guy out. Everyone's like, stop besmirching our office.
Except for his wife, who is a state senator.
Wait, can we please talk about this nut, okay? So his wife, state senator. So as this process progresses, she will ultimately be one of the jurors in his impeachment trial, as she is a state senator. He helped raise her gobs of money. She narrowly won her seat. This is my fave. One, she's been in charge of approving and voting on his budgets. Okay. But when she first came to office, this was what her campaign slogan, what her little moniker is. I'm a pistol packing mama and my husband sues Obama.
I'm a pistol packing mama and my husband sues Obama.
What a wordsmith.
The best
is she's standing by his side, and one of the things he's been accused of, not only did he cheat on her, but he got his mistress a job. That was where they thought he crossed the line.
Oh my God. The party of family values, ladies and gentlemen. But listen to this. The vote to adopt the articles of impeachment against Ken Paxton, 121 to 23. Those are numbers that, look, I am no mathematician, but those numbers seem bad for him.
Really bad in Texas.
So I talk about Succession being gone and missing, like our show about like intrigue and backstabbing. A Succession-style show about the downfall of Ken Paxton would be fascinating, because this investigation that the House was doing into Paxton was happening in secret since March. So since March, they were kind of secretly looking into all of his tomfoolery, to put it lightly, and nincompoopery, legal nincompoopery. And they were all working on this in secret. Meanwhile, he's the most powerful attorney in the state. He's the AG. Last week, we sort of got some weird rumblings from the Texas State House, where things are always like a little bit weird. But there was a video that came to light and went viral on social media. And on one of the days that I hosted What a Day last week, we talked about it because it was so bizarre. The Speaker of the House of Texas was filmed appearing to be extremely intoxicated while presiding over a Friday night session.
Send an amendment. The amendment is acceptable to the author. Is there objection to the opposite amendment? The chair has none. The amendment is adopted.
Paxton called for him to be removed from office or resign as a result of the video, which people were like, that's really weird. They're in the same party. What's going on here? Also, don't people show up to work drunk at the Texas state legislature like all the time? I mean,
isn't this par for the course?
Yeah, I saw people in Texas media saying like, yeah, people kind of like are drunk in the Texas legislature. That's
okay.
Not, you know what? Not my state. I'm not trying to California your Texas, but I would say like showing up drunk to your job as a legislator might be suboptimal. But regardless, Paxton called for him to be removed from office or to resign from office. And chatter started that actually the reason he wants him to resign is because he's got some dirt on Paxton. Turns out he did. Yeah. And here we are. Former President Trump, who is close buddies to Paxton. I mean,
he can't help but get involved.
I could have guessed. I mean, Paxton is basically the Azerbaijani leader of Texas, in terms of like corruption and dirtiness or whatever. Whatever. Trump is upset and sticking his nose in this because why not? He blasted the impeachment as an attempt to unseat the most hardworking and effective attorney general and thwart the large number of American patriots who voted for Paxton. Trump vowed to target any Republican who supported impeaching Paxton. Chill.
Well, seems to be 120. He's only got 20 people who agree with him right now. So, okay.
Okay. And then here's another wild thing. This is why I'm like, should I be following more Texans? Because this is I missed out on, if you were not following this while it was happening in real time, you really missed out on a really fun, entertaining shit show that will be ongoing. But it really reached ahead last week. 90 minutes into the debate about whether or not to impeach Paxton, the official Twitter account of the Texas AG started tweeting at members of the committee to challenge claims.
Literally proving one of the points against him, which is that people said he used intimidation and used to call down to members on the floor and like bully them into voting on things he wanted them to vote on.
Yeah. At the very center of this, just to give our listeners a very quick bullet point thing, and I'm sure we'll get email from Texas because I am not fluent in Texan. So this is just me, speaking Texan as a third language. So at the center of the impeachment probe was Paxton's abuse of office in the service of his political donor and friend, an Austin real estate developer named Nate Paul. In fall 2020, 8 top deputies in the AG's office approached the federal and state investigators to report their concerns about Paxton's relationship with Paul. All 8 quit or were fired in the following months. Most of the details of the allegations against Paxton were only revealed in the lawsuit by 4 former executives who claimed they were fired in violation of the Texas Whistleblower Act in retaliation for reporting Paxton to authorities. Paxton's bid to dismiss the lawsuit is awaiting action by the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in Dallas. Paxton's been accused of engaging in a series of intense and bizarre actions to help Paul, including intervening in an open records case to help Paul get documents from federal and state investigators into the real estate investors' businesses. They also say Paxton directed his agency to intervene in a lawsuit between Paul and a charity. That's very Trumpy to like
so Trumpy. Did they pay for a painting too?
A painting of Ken Paxton.
Yeah.
Looking, that George Washington painting, but with Ken Paxton's face on it. They also pushed a legal opinion to help Paul avoid a pending foreclosure sale on properties. Okay. In return, Paul paid for all or part of a major renovation of a home that Paxton owns in Austin. Paul also helped Paxton keep an extramarital affair quiet by employing the woman Paxton had been seeing, and added that the AG may have been motivated by a $25,000 contribution Paul made to Paxton's campaign in 2018. You get all that for $25,000?
$25,000? I mean, my God, is he friends with Clarence Thomas or something? He's taking his cues from someone.
I mean, but $25,000 is so cheap. That's less than a hybrid CRV.
Yeah.
That's not expensive. They got a lot of bang for their buck, and the bang continues. So, fuck you very much to Ken Paxton, and also to usually what the Texas Republican Party does, but in this case, Godspeed. Proving everybody does have their limits. Yes, indeed. Alyssa, we've got some positive state news.
Oh, Erin, we love the local, and this is a great one. We want to highlight a local win that shows just how crucial a Democratic Senate majority can be, no matter how small. Last week, the Minnesota governor signed a bill that guarantees 20 weeks of paid family and medical leave for all workers starting in 2026. This allows them to still get paid when they take time off for childcare, another family, or their own health needs. Minnesota will become the 12th state, plus the District of Columbia, that will have some sort of paid leave program. Without the Minnesota Democrats' 1-seat majority, this would not have passed through the Senate and to the governor's desk. Also earlier this week, the governor signed a bill making Minnesota the 23rd state to legalize adult use cannabis after a bipartisan bill passed both chambers earlier this month. Erin, is Minnesota one of the best states?
I mean, I'm biased.
I know. That's why I teed it up for you. It's a real softball.
I'm biased. I grew up right across the border in Wisconsin, but culturally, I feel a great affinity toward Minnesotans. St. Paul, Minneapolis is a world-class city. Duluth is a gem along the lake. Minnesota is a great state. It's a great place to be. It's a great place for families. The winters take a little getting used to, but I think the key is really adopting a sort of like fuck you attitude toward the weather and just going out and doing what you want anyway, and like using the cold as motivation to just get your shit done. Minnesota has been for years a state where there has been a vocal, active, and energized group of progressive voters who, even in the midst of, the Michelle Bachmann of times, have never ever given up, and there was a period of time where, there was a big debate about like gay marriage, and it failed first. And the thing that I love about progressives in Minnesota and in the Midwest in general is that they just never give up. They never give up.
Right.
And this is what they did with a literal 1-seat majority. They've got paid family leave now. I feel like now when you see all those depressing maps that are like, here are the places in the world that don't have paid family leave, Minnesota will have to be excluded, carved out from the maps. It's actually one of the best paid family leave programs in the whole country. And it will be funded by a 0.7% payroll tax on employers that will take effect in 2026. Employers, businesses have, pushed back saying it's going to be too expensive.
Right.
But actual policy analysis shows that this will enable fewer people to use social services, which just goes to prove that businesses in a lot of cases are bailed out and subsidized by government social service safety net programs.
And
we're finally making them pay for it.
What the other thing too is the employers here can deduct half of their premiums from workers' wages. The law contains protections against retaliation for workers who take the time off. And it also includes premium relief for smaller companies. So there are they have gone very far. This is very detailed. It's really trying to protect small businesses, and we're here for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of big businesses that are based in Minnesota. 3M is based in Minnesota. There's a couple of huge hospitals based in Minnesota. And, if you want to read more about what Minnesota did with a 1-seat majority, you should definitely look into it, because the Minnesota legislature really got down to business, and Governor Tim Walz got to signing some really good legislation. So congratulations to the state of Minnesota, the land of 10,000 lakes. And I hope to see you during the state fair this year.
Wait, Erin, don't we have one more news story?
Oh, yeah. Actually, big news.
Yeah.
So the new CEO of Waystar-Royco has been named post-GoJo merger, and it's not who you'd expect. Alyssa, what do you make of this surprising choice of Tom Wambsgans as CEO of Waystar-Royco?
Well, Erin, I think that Lucas Matson, renowned and stereotypical tech bro, known for sending blood to ex-girlfriends and clicking his heels and screaming Ebba in order to take control of this, wanted someone who would just be a puppet. And we've heard through sources that when Tom decided to not show up at Logan Roy's funeral, that Lucas thought that's exactly the kind of patsy, hardworking patsy, I want running my company. And so his choices were clear and probably smart given his options.
What I thought was really interesting is, in this unprecedented look into the Roy family's life that we've been given these past 4 years.
So lucky.
I got a sense at the conclusion of the announcement episode of the news. I got a sense that every single person got what they wanted, but in a monkey paw wish kind of way.
Yes.
And by that,
I mean
what they
wanted and what they deserved.
Be careful what you wish for, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, during the course of the 4 previous seasons of Succession, Kendall was always talking about how he doesn't want to be his father over and over and over again.
Do you mean Kendall, the eldest boy? Roy?
The eldest boy. That was so funny how he called himself he yelled, "I am the eldest boy." That is like the most pathetic thing that an adult man can yell.
Thoughts and prayers for Connor.
Poor con man. I love that Will is going to ship him off and live in that castle, though. Good for her.
As the true winner of this acquisition.
She won Succession. She was the winner. I thought that Kendall was saying over and over again throughout the series that he didn't want to be his father. And then in the funeral, during the funeral, he mentioned that he did want to be his father. He kind of backtracked on that. But by that point, it was too late. The wheels were in motion. And at the end, Shiv, by actually reneging on her vote, prevented him from being his father.
Yeah.
He got what he wanted.
She made sure that Roman, youngest boy, would be free from the life he clearly couldn't handle and didn't want.
Yeah, we are bullshit is one of the greatest quotes.
Bullshit. If that's not a t-shirt or a hat soon, people are asleep at the wheel.
I mean, the WGA strike is still going on. I think hopefully SAG will be joining soon. You are bullshit would be a pretty good
perfect sign.
I mean, because it's not the Roys are not us. They're different than us. What did you make of Shiv's final moments on the show
Oh, absolutely perfect and exactly what she deserved and who she was in her core. She spent her entire life trying to get the approval of powerful men, whether it was the progressive guy she worked for, whose name I always forget, whether it was her father, whether it was Mattson. But now, Erin, Tom is powerful, so she can spend her life with him, because I guess he approves of her, while she becomes her mother.
Mm-hmm. I also thought during one of their exhilarating fights, the Tom Shiv fights, more exciting to me than any like Fast and Furious car chase scene. So good.
Without question.
During one of their arguments, Shiv said, you took my father. I missed out on the last 6 months with my dad because you took him away. Well, now she gets to live out the rest of her life with her dad.
Yeah, it's great.
The CEO of Waystar-Royco, who is just, and also Tom, we know that Tom wanted that the whole time. Tom wanted to be the CEO. That's why he married Shiv. That's why he was with Shiv in the first place. He wanted access to power. But in his conversation with Mattson is like, you were going to eat shit. You're going to eat, this job is you eat shit.
He is Mattson's Greg.
Yeah, exactly. But like, Tom got what he wanted, but we know as viewers that it's going to be terrible. It is going to be a horrible...
Enjoy yourself, Tom.
Yeah, worst job in America. And I'm just really glad that it didn't end. Look, I wanted people to die. Jeremy Strong said in an interview that after they cut the cameras, he ran and tried to jump into the river, which is
you could see it in his eyes. You knew he wanted to make a run for that icy cold water.
Oh, can we talk about a meal fit for a king, by the way?
Okay, so Erin, you and I were texting and we were like, you know that when Jeremy Strong was in his method acting, that he drank that. And according to IndieWire, he did drink it.
Oh, did you ever do that to like siblings or cousins?
I have IBS. I could not inflict that on anyone.
We used to do that. Like, we would go to like a buffet place after church or something like that on a Sunday. And it would be me and my parents and my aunt and uncle and my cousins, maybe my grandma and grandpa. And we would just like put every condiment in a glass and every type of liquid in a glass. And then make my brother usually would be the one to drink it.
Nice.
It was pretty gross. He would drink it and pretend that it didn't gross him out, but it was pretty gross. But it's cool that like even super rich people do that to each other. It made me feel the class solidarity. Family bonding. Let's see. Any other final thoughts? I feel like we've all kind of...
I feel like that was it. Him running into the water really would have been it, but he didn't do it. So another time, Jeremy.
Yeah. Well, can't wait to see what any of these people do next. Sarah Snook, by the way, every time I see her in an interview and she's talking in her real voice,
it's so confusing.
I feel like I'm a kid at Disney World and I see Mickey Mouse take his head off.
Yeah, same with Tom. Same with Tom in his real voice.
Oh, it's like, well, it's those two, and then Christian Bale. When I hear Christian Bale's real voice, I'm like, what is happening? Yeah. What is going? This is terrible. Why did Mickey take his head off? Okay, let's take a quick break. Really excited about this interview this week. This is a person that's been on our wish list for a really long time. Also, Alyssa, your arms look buff.
Oh, thank you. I've been doing a lot of push-ups.
Oh yeah, you look buff. Alyssa is suns out, guns out right now.
Suns out, guns out. In my muscle tank from Erin.
What does your muscle tank say?
It says Barefoot Contessa, and it has many pictures of Ina Garten and her husband, Jeffrey, enjoying each other's company.
That's one way to describe it, indeed. Okay, let's take a quick break. When we come back, our interview with Samantha Bee. And welcome back. You're listening to Hysteria, the podcast that the original Sex and the City version of Miranda Hobbs would listen to on the subway, but not the And Just Like That version.
No.
Right?
No.
She wouldn't. She's not listening to anything.
We're not here for Che Diaz or anyone on that show.
Miranda Hobbs in the And Just Like That Sex and the City reboot doesn't listen to anything, including Reason. So, okay. So let's get to talking to our guest today. Our guest today is a comedian, former host of Full Frontal with Sam Bee, and before that was a longtime correspondent on The Daily Show. She's in the midst of her comedy tour, Your Favorite Woman, as we speak, and her new podcast, Choice Words, premieres today. Samantha Bee, Welcome to Hysteria.
Thank you so much for having me. I love this podcast. I'm excited to be on it. But I will say that, I disagree with you. I disagree with you on one thing, which is to say that even though I definitely hate watch it, I'm so excited for And Just Like That.
So am I.
So deeply excited. I would watch 500 seasons of it in 3 days. So
I am too.
Of
there aren't
course.
that many shows where I am like, this is event television for me. We have like Succession and then And Just Like That. Even though every time I tuned in, I'm like, what frustrating choice.
Stupid show.
What is a comedy concert? What? Oh, God, I love it so much. I need more.
Are you doing comedy concerts, Sam?
I am doing a comedy and in the spirit of that, please enjoy my comedy concert.
Okay, so with Full Frontal tragically no longer on air, there is per usual a lack of female voices in late night. There's not a lot of discourse around paid family leave or menopause on late night anymore at all.
No,
by 2028, it's predicted will own 75% of the discretionary spending, making them the world's most powerful influencers. So why aren't advertisers demanding more women in late night? What gives?
I don't have the answer whatsoever. If I knew the answer, I would be exploiting the answer, but I don't. I just cannot believe we have so much buying power, so much influence. We have all of the ingredients, and we are, I think, an extraordinarily underserved audience. And I would love it if the ratio was upended, but I really don't know. I don't know what the trick is. I really don't. I'm sorry. Anyway, end of scene.
Do you think that late night holds the prestigious and influential place it used to hold?
Well,
is it kind of falling out of favor?
I just don't think, I guess so probably such a terrible thing for me to say. I just don't think it has not that it was an important, not that it was like had weight and importance or gravitas before, but at least there was more of a purpose to it, I think, in the past. And I think that because people didn't get the news all day, every day, like it was a place to go at the end of your day to calm down or see us or catch up on something that you didn't know anything about, or see something kind of digested, see a news item digested in a different way, or an analysis that was unexpected, and just to laugh. And I think, with all of us being we're so tuned into everything. Like now at the end of the day, I don't need you to tell me news items anymore. I'm tired. I actively reject that. So I think the purpose seems to have shifted. I'm not sure that it feels in many ways like we've all sort of lost the thread, or we're so tired at the end of the day that we're like, please give me more Shay, because I must have it immediately. Or Succession, which is also stressful, but in a different way. In a different way. I don't know.
Sam, what have you been enjoying the most about the podcasting format as opposed to television?
I love, like with television, you have these great conversations with people for a full, you have great conversations. You do all this stuff. You talk to someone for an hour. You love everything you talked about. You go to another country and you interview someone, you spend the whole day with them. And then you use literally 45 seconds of all the incredible things that they said to you, and everything else. There's no place for it. There's no cutting room floor. There's no second TV show where you get to show all the gorgeous gems that you couldn't use because it didn't fit the storytelling that you were doing. So it's fun to actually be able to have a conversation that extends longer than what seems to take 45 seconds to a minute and a half. I like it. I'm sure you do too. It's like I love interviewing people. I truly love it. It's like the one skill or the one joy, one of the joys of doing television in that format for so long that I'd like to keep moving forward because it's just so pleasurable. So it's a natural fit, I think. I love it.
Tell our listeners a little bit about what they can expect with this podcast. Who are you talking to? What are you learning? What are you trying to do?
Well, I'm talking to people about, because I got fired from my job, and that causes you.
Which was so stupid. Can we talk about that? It was so stupid.
So
I was
stupid.
gobsmacked. What?
Well,
Like, ugh.
I can't say that I was gobsmacked because I had got moved off my time slot by wrestling. And I think usually, like, of course, usually if you're like, well, you know what's so fun? Like, here's, okay, ring, ring. Hi, Sam. Guess what? This is such good news. You're going to go to another day and another time, and we're going to put wrestling on where you once were. And I'm like, that is amazing. And also, we're going to get off the schedule really soon, right? Like, this is a really big sign that we might not fit in there anymore, like with your programming decisions. So I can't say that it was like a huge shock for me, but it was with like it was in the public sphere. It was a pretty wild ride, and it causes you, I don't know, I've been on TV for a really long time. It's not to say that I need to keep being on TV for the rest of my life. I 100% don't. But you have to make choices. You have to go like, oh, what the fuck is who am I? I think I am a person. Am I? Let's find out. So it causes you to make these like real choices, and like, what are the choices you want to select from all the work you did, the body of work that you did, that you would do no matter what, that you would do for free going on until the day you die? Are there parts of your job that you would carry forward? And so choice words is that. And I like to talk to people about the choices that they made that led them to the place where they are. Like, because I've made so many bad choices and so many good choices. And I think we all make all these decisions every day. And so what are the ones that other people make? I want to know from them what they did right or wrong. It makes me feel better about myself, actually. Like, just makes me feel awesome.
On that note, what are some choices or a choice that you've made that changed the trajectory of your life, for better or for worse?
I interviewed, one of the interviews was Judd Apatow, which was like a really fun conversation. And I actually told him that when I was a teenager, and it's not like a story of glory or anything like that. I'm not proud of it. I think it's a good story to tell. It's just a real story. But for a long time, I was like a criminal when I was a teenager. Me and my boyfriend. Yeah.
Just that.
What? Me and my boyfriend stole cars together, and we fenced stolen goods for a long time. We would have these big wild parties. And I mean, like, I had braces on my teeth. Like, I was a child. And
it's probably why you got away with it. Everyone was like, she's not going to do anything.
No.
She's got braces
possible.
on.
I had braces, and I wore a string of pearls, and I was like, if you wear pearls, you can do anything. And that was true, as I found out. But I thought I wanted to continue this life. I was like, I'm going to be a criminal. I was like, we're going to move to Florida, and we're going to move to Miami, and we're going to start a criminal syndicate. And he was like, I don't think I want to do that. And I was like, you're a chicken shit. I'm not afraid. But then over time, there was a day that I woke up and I completely changed the trajectory of my life. I kind of woke up and got smacked in the face with the truth of what I had become, the fact that everyone in my life hated me, that I hated myself, that I was like Alyssa Simpson, as you both are. In my heart, like deep in my core, in the DNA, I'm Alyssa Simpson, not a Nelson. Not a Nelson. And so that choice was so stark and happened so quickly. And I completely turned it around in a day. It was literally like running into a wall of truth one day with, like, you know, when you feel like when you're about to crash into something and you're like, oh, I felt a hand on my shoulder. I like literally was like, wait a second, this is terrible. Oh my God. And broke, and changed the entire trajectory of my life in that one day, in that moment. I don't know what could have become of me. Anything was possible.
Oh my gosh. This is like, I'm reeling from this information. Like, imagining you stealing cars as a child.
Awful.
Like, was this in Canada?
Yeah. What a terrible human being. Terrible human being.
Did you give the cars back?
No. Oh God, no. No, I mean, they were eventually, like, I don't know what happened to them. We never were caught, mercifully. And I mean, he went on to a criminal life. I'm pretty sure.
Did he move to Florida? Did he move to Florida?
He never did, but he didn't have that change of heart. And I guess it's such a weird story because when I talk about it, it's kind of funny. It's kind of unimaginable. It's weird. I've told my kids, they're like, you're the literal squarest person. You can't even find jeans that look good on you. Like, there's no way that you led that life. And so I don't say it with pride particularly. And I spent the rest of my life kind of trying to make up for that or to try to fill that deficit with something else, like to repair whatever cosmic damage I did. I don't know. People suffered.
Well, I'm glad you went with you didn't use "People Suffered" as the title of your podcast.
People suffered.
So I'm curious when you first realized you were funny enough to be like professionally funny, and who was your first biggest fan?
Oh, that's funny. Well, let me see. So professionally funny, not for a very long time in life. Like, I did not come into performance at all until my mid-20s. I had no idea that this would be my life. I wanted to go to law school. Or I didn't want to. I thought that I would because I wanted to have some professional job. I just wanted to like be able to pay a mortgage. That was my really only goal. And then in college, I took a theater class, and then I was like, oh, I should be on stage because I'm extremely comfortable on stage, but I thought I would be a very dramatic actor. And then I just subbed in for somebody doing comedy one day, just through mutual friends in my late 20s. And I was like, no, I will do this for the rest of my life. Paid or unpaid, I will always have a trunk full of wigs in my car. Even when I'm in my 60s, I'm going to be an absolute asshole for the rest of my life. And I didn't really start like earning a living at it until mid-30s. So I think it was quite late in life. And who was my first? I mean, the first person who really, my husband was my first biggest fan. Like, he was so, it's sweet, but it's true.
Yeah, that's really sweet.
He was in comedy too. He was so encouraging. We did lots of stuff together. And then I would say Jon Stewart honestly gave me my hugest break and like was the first outside person who I think truly believed that there was something at the core. That's sweet. That's a sweet story. I don't think I've ever said those words before.
Well, we bring out the best in people.
You do. You truly do.
Oh, speaking of bringing out the best in people. So a few years back, you had some choice words for Ivanka Trump.
I did.
Which the right and pearl clutchers generally went bonkers over. Where is the civility, Sam Bee, they screamed. Yeah. Now, in the years since, the GOP has attacked women, gay and trans kids, people who believe in science, books, and God help us, have celebrated the likes of Tucker Carlson. Love her, but we simply cannot always go high as Michelle Obama asks of us. So in a world of boundless hypocrisy, how can we respond in ways that are constructive when all we want to do is rage? Like, did you have any epiphanies after that incident?
I had I had so many epiphanies.
We're here for all of them.
It was like that was a life-changing experience, I would say. It really, well, I don't think that my epiphanies were good. It didn't like restore my faith in humanity at all.
Right, no, but
I definitely was like, oh, everyone's terrible. Oh, everyone's really terrible. Like, we're all making such a big deal because a lady said a dirty word. Like, we're really doing this. Like, the whole issue and the whole reason why we did that piece was because we had just been all learning that they were putting migrant children into cages. And that was a huge emerging story. And she behaved unspeakably, I felt, over the weekend when this huge story was breaking. Like, it was so insensitive what she did, and it made me so mad. And I was so angry and upset about the whole situation. And for 3 days, it was just like a constant barrage of like, you know, in the news media on both sides, everywhere, globally was like, what a shame that this one woman on TBS saying a bad word really distracted from this really huge story that we all should be paying attention to. And I was like, you motherfuckers, stop fucking talking about fucking little me saying a word I've said on the show 25 times prior and start focusing on the fucking story that you should be telling. I'm like, it's not actually my job, but all of you who are talking about me, it's your fucking job to change the subject right fucking now. Right. And they didn't. And I just watched it happen and I got caught in the wave of it. It was like walking through fire. And I came out a changed person, but a much more cynical person, actually. So it makes me so mad actually still talking about it clearly that, my cat is walking right over my computer.
Perfect.
As if
That's
to say,
whole part of this podcast.
It's
perfect
part of the
segue.
show, yeah. Yeah.
So that I don't even remember what your question was, but it's still.
How did it change you? Do you think now differently about how you respond to things?
It did make me realize in that moment that people were watching it definitely made me realize that people were watching the show. And I think that it's always, there's a schism, I think, in a comedian's brain or a performer's brain, because you keep thinking that you're in the trenches all the time. And you're like, because it's hard to make a career and you don't think of yourself as having a platform. You just think, yeah, I'm in it. Like everybody, I'm just doing my thing and whatever. But it actually had legs. And that was the moment where I realized, I actually have like a microphone. So I should be judicious about it and realize that these words have the potential to like hurt people and do other things and reverberate through places I didn't expect. So that was a really good awakening, actually. That was very good. It helped me tap into a strength that I didn't know I had. And it made me realize how fleeting any kind of like media relationships are, or like how tenuous all those threads are, and how nothing is really all that reliable. And you just have to take care of the people that you work with and take care of yourself, in that you have to build your team and keep your team safe and face those headwinds with strength, and not really not care too much what other people think about you. You cannot put your self-worth in the minds and words of other people.
I mean, yeah, but you were right.
Yeah. No, I mean,
just
I was.
let's stipulate.
Also,
we
I was.
agreed entirely.
100%.
You were 100%.
And
you were
what?
100% right.
I regret nothing. And I'd call more people cunts if I had the chance. There were a lot more people. There were a lot more people who fit that moniker, actually.
Oh man, it reminds me a little bit, and it wasn't as big of a firestorm, but when Michelle Wolf made a joke about Sarah Huckabee Sanders' bad makeup, and everyone was like, "This is my goodness, my stars!" It was just
too
like
far.
I'm fainting. Help!
It's just like the Mika Brzezinskis of the world should not take on feminist topics, because they took a business class in the same building as feminist studies, but they don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. Anyway,
women can be assholes too. We all have to remind ourselves of that.
And that's one of the big lessons of feminism is we are complete human beings. We are complete human beings that are just as capable as being total fucking cunts as men.
That's right.
Exactly. Sam, we read that during Full Frontal, you were very dedicated to packing your own lunch every day.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
That you generally love to shop for food and cook. So what are you cooking or eating these days? And any recipes we should also be obsessed with?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, I love this. I cook all the time. I always cook for myself. Everybody laughs at me because when I have to go on an airplane, so I'm just on this tour, I'm still like, okay, I'm going to pack my breakfast, lunch, and dinner just in case I get stuck at the airport. Like such a dork in my Gladware and like every manner of snacks. My whole bag is filled with snacks and delicious things that I can eat along the way to make my life more pleasurable. What am I eating right now? Well, after this, I'm going to make some eggs, actually. I have this nice toast. I bought this special loaf of bread that I love so much. I'm going to slice it really thin and crispy. And I'm going to make some 8-minute eggs.
Ooh,
I'm going to
wow.
spread those out on some crispy toast, and we're going to go to town. We're going to go to
delicious.
town.
Oh man, that sounds amazing. And also I'm realizing that if you had like a service where people could call and you would just describe food, people would pay for that. People would 100% pay for that.
I
That
would
was a
pay
really
for that.
good food.
Oh,
Crispy toast, delicious eggs.
Just like the beautiful, like with those beautiful yolks, those like orange, like
Gold, yellow.
golden medium boil eggs.
So when you head to the airport, you are the one carrying a ludicrously capacious bag, as Tom would say.
Ludicrously capacious, just totally obnoxious. Such a dead giveaway that I'm like a striver and not born to it.
But you're not the person eating hard-boiled eggs on a plane.
I would never.
We just need to make that clear.
I would never. If I wanted to eat hard-boiled eggs at the airport, I would tuck myself into a corner where no one else is sitting, and I would enjoy them away from others. I'm respectful.
See, honestly, I think eating eggs on a plane is a bigger crime than stealing a car in many cases.
100%.
you're
Glad to
right.
see that you've moved on in life.
I think
More
you're right.
deserving of jail.
From your
100%.
I take my spaghetti, just some airplane spaghetti. It's so nice.
Samantha Bee, thank you so much for joining us on Hysteria. Listeners, Sam's new podcast, Choice Words, premieres today. Thanks so much and come back anytime.
So fun. So great to see you both. Thank you so much.